Hi guys, welcome to your Week 5 U.S. History launch, and we are going to continue to discuss the American History Mythbusters project. Just a reminder that the page chart can be found in the Google Classroom, and you should be really following this closely, especially for attendance purposes. So if you're somebody who is coming in and just completing or taking a diagnostic assessment one time each day, 5 days a week, that's really not enough to mark that you were present for an entire day of school. So make sure that you're getting in there. Our attendance is based on progress, so you have to be as close to on pace as you can. If you are on pace right now, we are on week 5, so it shows that you should have already completed the Revolutionary America focus area. You should be working on the early American geography focus area if you would like to. That one is an additional one, which means it's extra credit. But you should definitely have already started submitting some of these checkpoints for the first project. Checkpoint 1 throughout the school year is, the first one is Tuesday the 25th. We have checkpoints throughout the year to kind of discuss your progress, and it gives you an opportunity to see where you are on a certain day, and then basically reflect on that and think, if I don't make any changes and I continue to do the same things for the rest of the year, it gives you an idea of what your grade would be if you continue to do the same things. So for checkpoint 1, also know that we have 8 checkpoints throughout the year. Progress reports are sent home. And checkpoint 1, most of you are going to receive an I. The I stands for incomplete, but I don't want you guys to worry at this point. The reason that is that you can see based on the thing to the right, the blue line, the vertical blue line is the pace bar, and really no project has passed yet. So because no project was due, you have not yet calculated a grade, because in the SLP, a grade will only be calculated when you finish at least one project. So while I say not to worry at this checkpoint, if you receive an incomplete, I think at the next checkpoint, which will be at the end of the first marking period, if you still have an incomplete, then that would become more worrisome, because at that point, at least one project would have likely been due. So make sure you're trying to make sure that you make some changes, start to submit the checkpoints, and then that way at the end of the first marking period, you have a better report going home. So make sure that you want your year view to look a lot more like this. So you should have completed everything to the left of the blue line to date and turned it green, and then just kind of use that as your guide throughout the year. If you're confused how your grades are calculated, you should know that the launches are 10% of the grade. So that is what you're watching right now. An instructional launch is just a short video, 10 or 15 minutes, where you actually get some instructional content. I think it's probably the easiest portion of your grade. You mix that in with focus areas, which are 20%, and then projects are 70%. So I wanted to give you guys a visual of how your grades are made, and a majority of this is the projects. So if you're somebody who's right now working, but really only focusing on the launches and focus areas, that's great, and that's information that you definitely need to learn, but now it's time to apply that to the project. So don't be scared to submit a checkpoint, and don't be afraid you're doing it wrong, because that's what my job is to give you that feedback and help you submit a better checkpoint, so that by the time you get to the checkpoint 4 and 5, you turn in a better final product. So you got to start somewhere. Just, peel the Band-Aid off and submit something so that we can help you. The American History Mythbusters project is what we're working on. And again, you're picking one of these myths that existed around the founding of the United States, and you're just going to basically investigate whether you think it really happened or whether you think it was kind of a myth. Checkpoint 4 is the Mythbusters multimedia planning. So that would be, you would click on what is outlined in red there, and then that would bring you to this document here. So when you're in here, this is just basically your place that you're going to start your preparation of the final product. So what you're going to do, just follow all the steps. You're going to determine what type of multimedia you're going to use, and you're going to highlight one. So if you're going to use Google Slides, you would come up here, highlight it, and then come up to the highlight color. And you'd hit highlight color and say, I want to put it in yellow. And that would highlight and tell me what you plan to do. Step 2, you're going to be planning the content. So you want to fill in this box here. What is your historical topic in question? So that's going to be, you're going to be discovering that in checkpoint 3. Are you doing the one about Thomas Jefferson, Paul Revere, Pocahontas, what's the other one? Betsy Ross, and there's a fifth one too. But you're going to be putting that historical question in there so that I know what is your project about. Then just kind of just follow these guides. So you're also, a lot of this can be, if you have turned your checkpoints green, a lot of this information is just going to be able to be copied and pasted from checkpoint like 1, 2, and 3 into here. So this part is an analysis of the primary and secondary sources that includes the point of view of the sources you used, the historical context, and how that supports your claim. Okay, so that's a lot that's going to be done in checkpoint 3. You come down here, also here's your argumentative claim in response to the question, and at least 2 quotes that help support that claim. That's also, I believe, in checkpoint 3. And then you're planning your multimedia. So you're going to be putting images, videos, or whatever else you're going to use. You're just going to start to copy and paste those into here. And again, you want them to be relevant images. You're being graded on your ability to find relevant images that add to the quality of your project, not just random things that mean absolutely nothing just to fill a space. And then step 4 is just to be self-assessing. After you finish, you want to go back in and kind of just say how well you think you did these skills. Okay, and then when you're done, you hit request feedback, and then you're going to wait. Please do not start working on your project until I tell you to, because otherwise you could be doing it wrong and filling in the wrong information. So just remember to hold on and wait for feedback. I do want to remind you guys, if you do not have checkpoints 1, 2, and 3 turned green, you're not yet ready to move on to checkpoint 4. I have some of you working a little bit too fast, and the quality of the work is not very good. I would rather see you guys going slowly, listening to my feedback and following the correct process, and really trying to turn in a high quality work rather than rushing through this. Because what's going to happen is, if you're not really taking the feedback and applying it to try to make it better, you're not going to get a passing grade on the multimedia piece. And I can tell you that right now. A couple of you who are flying through this, here's your warning: what you're turning in is not good, and you have to go back and slow down, because it's not going to be a passing grade. So if you are somebody here, you want to make sure 1 and 2 are green. So this person has submitted checkpoint 3 and is waiting for my feedback. Once I say it's okay and I turn this green, then by all means, please go on and start checkpoint 4. But it's most important, if you submit checkpoint 4 this week and I give you a red or a yellow, you wait and go back and do that feedback, fix the feedback, and then resubmit it. And once I say it's good enough, then you can move on to your multimedia piece. That's how you're going to get the best possible grade. I want to just quickly discuss argumentative claim, because it is a big part of this project that I think is messing some of our learners up. So I just want to address it. An argument expresses a point of view that is supported with evidence. Your argument can also be called a claim, and a claim is a statement that can be argued and supported with evidence. So a claim is not necessarily a fact, like the sky is blue or, you know, the grass is green. That can't be argued. That is something that is fact. A claim is your opinion or your point of view on something that you are then going to support with evidence. Evidence can be a quote from a historical source, a description of an image, a piece of data, or a specific example. And it's also most important to remember that evidence should be rooted in fact, not opinion. So you want to make sure that you're using relevant historical sources, and not, you know, somebody's blog or opinion like that. It needs to be rooted in fact. So one example of the process I would give you is by using Batman. So the first thing you want to do is make a claim. So I'm going to claim that I think Christian Bale was the most successful Batman. This is something that is not fact. It is my opinion or my point of view. And now it is my job to provide some evidence to prove my point. The next step would be to provide subclaims. These are kind of your additional reasonings of why you have that opinion. Christian Bale was in 3 of the highest grossing Batman movies of all time. Then you want to support your claims with evidence. So according to thenumbers.com, The Dark Knight and The Dark Knight Rises each made over $1 billion in the worldwide box office. This number far exceeds any of the other Batman movies. So that is the evidence that I'm providing to support my claim. Then you want to acknowledge the counterclaim. The counterclaim are those people that have the opposite opinion of you, but you need to acknowledge it because it strengthens your argument. So some might argue that Michael Keaton was the best Batman because he was in the original movie. But then you want to refute the counterclaim. So you acknowledge the counterclaim, but now you're going to come back and say why theirs is wrong. While Michael Keaton was the first cinema Batman, he played the role twice, and Batman Returns made just under $700 million combined. So again, it all ties in with my evidence of how I'm supporting that he was the most successful. So if you follow this graph here, the 5 steps, you should have a really, really simple time coming up with your argumentative claim. To do for Tuesday, 9/25, you should have already mastered the Revolutionary America Content Assessment, and you want to attempt the Early American Geography Content Assessment. So this is optional for you. This is one of those additional focus areas, so it's not required, but highly recommended. Submit checkpoints 1, 2, and 3 of the project for feedback, so it's most important to turn those green. And then if they are already green, go ahead and move on to checkpoint 4. And then review the feedback, make the changes, and resubmit any of the checkpoints that you do. So just a reminder, I do try to grade typically once a day. Sometimes our schedule does not allow that. So just like in a brick and mortar school, when you would turn in a paper to your instructors, please allow 2 or 3 days for grading, because it does take some time to go through and grade these kind of projects. So give us time. We will get back to it. But if it's been 3 or 4 days, then by all means get in touch with somebody. But if you guys need anything this week, please reach out to me. Send me a hangout or an email. I would love to start working through some of these projects with you guys, but it's definitely time to start now.